Lisa, welcome to a donut conversation, donut discussion.
Hi, Indy. Thank you.
How do you
Happy
feel?
to be here with you.
Yeah, and how do you feel about being a part of this donut exploration? I mean, you're leading the charge for San Jose, and I feel it's important to find out why. Like, why do you feel this is important for San Jose?
Well, I feel grateful to be a part of this work, doing this work. And I think that there are several reasons why San Jose is a good city to be doing this work in. So we know that cities are a major user of energy. So cities use about 60% of energy and have about 70% of impact on climate. So it makes sense to do this work in cities in general and specific to San Jose. Um, I've been doing climate work in San Jose for probably maybe about 6 years or so now. And through that work, I've gotten to know some organizations that are working in climate. And there's a lot of people out there who are working hard to make sure that San Jose is meeting its climate goals and keeping on track. So I feel like there's already some momentum out there. Um, Feels like there may need to be an effort to help people to get a little bit more organized. So I think that this work can help with that. I've also been working with the City Council and Santa Clara County supervisors a little bit through climate work, and we've had some successes. So we've been heard in some particular cases, not always, but I feel that that we can be heard, and that especially when there are enough people speaking up. So I feel like there's that interface with the government. I feel like there's the energy of people already doing work. I feel that there are some examples of projects that are also already projects that are similar to the donut philosophy. So I think that we have some already the beginnings of the donut work. So we just need to get the portrait out there, show them what it is. This is a little bit similar to work that has already been done by the Silicon Valley Pain Index group.
Mhm.
And so how I envision that this work would be differing is that it's a little bit more focused on the different categories that we use in the donut and looking at our uh, our ability to thrive without surpassing our ecological limits. So it's a little bit more focused than what they're doing with the pain index. Um, but they have been doing this work for about 5 or 6 years now, and they have found that things are actually getting worse as the years go by. So we've got data, but we just need to find a way to get more action going. And so I'm hoping with a collaborative approach, starting with building the donut portrait, then we can progress to the next step and continue on some of the action that's already taking place.
I love that. I feel it's important to recognize too that how important coalitions are and bringing together different organizations, looking at things differently, right? Everybody's looking at something different, like the pain index, as you shared here. They're looking at things in a specific direction. I mean, they're analyzing pain, and even pain is so relative, right? Like, whose pain, what pain, how are people experiencing pain, how are people
Yes.
communicating pain, and what are the different stakeholders? But then, like, what is the actions we could take to mitigate that pain, right? And I think sometimes you see the problem, then you like to try to fix the problem from there. But at the same time, then by the time you've researched that problem, there's now new problems that have been introduced, So I think it's things are changing so fast all the time. I wonder how do you feel that donut economics allows there to be a more of an opportunity for different people working on different perspectives to collaborate more so than any other thing that you've worked on or you've seen in your life, right? Like how does donut economics or how does the approach of donut economics how is it more inclusive or not inclusive than anything else you've worked on?
So uh, we have begun to do work with the data gathering group. So we've had our kickoff meeting this past weekend, and we were kind of philosophizing about that topic amongst other topics. And some of the things that we were thinking about is the donut really does help us to connect um, all of the different aspects of what the residents of a city need to be able to thrive. So, say for example, if we are working on a climate solution, we also need to take into account social justice. So, what does that mean for housing? What does that mean for food? And there are some groups that are starting to look at that right now, but I feel like there's room to really lean into that more and to really bring those different groups together. Um, Both the groups that are working within, say, food,
Right.
or the works that are working within climate, but also to bring the climate groups together with the food groups. And the fact that things are changing quickly, the stronger and the more relationships that we build, the more we can see it all together and we can decide who's going to take the lead in the different actions that need to be taken. And we can collaborate more, which I think will help us to be more agile to address the challenges that we continue to face.
Yeah, and I wonder how many times when that's happening too, like what intersection of one thing and another project, like they actually might the connecting points of them might actually provide a solution than them working on them in isolation, you know? I mean, we think about like ecological building, for example, and understanding, like building things that are fireproof and fire resilient and earthquake resilient. How does that also connect to like indigenous knowledge and wisdom about building structures that are healthy and ecological? I mean, there's intersecting points that maybe we're not leaning into enough because they're all in separate places right now.
They are. And there's also this kind of lack of sense of community that we're feeling throughout our nation. And part of what's really exciting about the work that we've started is that we're starting to build more of a sense of community. And you've helped us do a lot of that with the resiliency festivals. The more we start to meet with each other too within our working groups, we're forming a sense of community. I've also been going out into we have a very diverse city in San Jose. So I've been reaching out to as many groups as I can and getting to know what they're doing, what their community's like, and seeing how we can bring their perspectives in. So we've done some work in Japantown, working on some political issues and talking about a potluck revolution. You invited us to the Sikh temple over the weekend, and that was a wonderful experience of understanding community. This idea of gathering and free food is really big, and it was wonderful to experience that as well. So yeah, the more that we can build a sense of community and the more that we can bring the diverse communities together, I think we can be stronger together.
Right.
And I think that we can realize that we can collaborate successfully and have more creative solutions and more long-lasting solutions and more harmonious solutions.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think I feel you hit on a really powerful thing. I mean, we know that biodiversity, I mean, obviously you're an ecological steward, so the more that there's biodiversity in any system, the more resilient it is, right? The more you have it goes hand in hand, right? Especially in terms of pests or if there's any like if there's any like natural disasters or whatever, the resiliency increases with biodiversity. And I wonder if the same thing is the same with cultural diversity, right? Like the more culturally diverse we are, the more also resilient we are to greater impacts, economic even and political impacts that are like coming from like higher, more centralized places. But the local biodiversity, local cultural diversity supports with that. So I'm curious, how do you see that? Like, how do you see that playing out? I mean, obviously you're connecting dots and you're meeting different groups. How do you see that playing out for this donut economic snapshot? Like, where do you see the snapshot being able to be reflected back to these diverse communities? How can it support potentially the diverse communities in San Jose?
I think there's two different ways that I'm right now kind of looking at it, two different perspectives. One is that it's very important to me that the snapshot actually take that snapshot of our diversity. So we want to make sure that the Vietnamese community has a voice. We want to make sure that our elders have a voice, the youth has a voice, the youth in particular with climate,
Mhm.
because they are the ones who are going to face the brunt of the impacts of climate, the Latin American community. So all of those voices, I really would like to incorporate as much as possible into the donut. So what does it mean to them to thrive? So we may think that just a general criteria of what it means for one group of people to thrive, it may not necessarily be the same for others. So we want to incorporate as much as possible of the different concepts of what it would be for everyone to be able to thrive. And then from another perspective, I want to really shine a light on the diversity of culture that we have. So maybe some people aren't exposed to the variety of culture that we have in our community. And I really believe that this is one of the biggest gifts that we have in our community is that you can travel 10, 15 minutes and you can go from like you're in one country and you can go to another country and just really be enriched by so much community, so much culture, and really get to know a different place and different different cultural practices. So I would like to be able to highlight that as well to help to showcase how wonderful it is and to encourage if some people aren't familiar with all the different cultures other than their own, that they can get to know that better and enjoy that through the work of the donut and through our ability to highlight that and even through our workshops and our festivals.
Yeah, I mean, I think I feel like you bring up a good point too, in the sense of being able to reflect back to the folks also who are part of these communities. I mean, it's always nice to kind of let folks know that it is really beautiful that they're honoring their culture and they're honoring I mean, just you coming to the Sikh temple the other day and being able to like reflect that back to the community that yeah, we are a part of a greater community. And I remember we went and got boba yesterday afterwards in the very Vietnamese area, right, of San Jose, and it was like I've never seen that concentration of boba shops. There must have been like 8 boba shops in the same shopping complex, right? We're just like, what? How is this even happening? But it was really cool to like talk to some of the Vietnamese people, the shop owners, and to like connect with them, and they really love their culture and they're really happy to spread it and share their culture. And I think that's really important for people to feel safe in their culture and also feel like their culture is being honored by the community that's not from that specific culture. Um,
Yeah.
and so okay, so to flip that side, we have the culture thing, but we also have ecology. And I'm curious, where do you come into this place? Like, why do you care about the donut economics in relation to ecology and those ecological indicators on the outside? How do you see San Jose playing into that as well, and the different perspectives and also the places how you show up in the world? Like, how do those connect with the ecological factors?
So my family is very in tune with our local ecosystems. We love to hike and go backpacking, and our favorite place to go hiking is Grant Ranch in the mountains above San Jose. So we're looking to examples of our local ecosystems, Grant Ranch, the local marshes, the local woodlands. And we look at the gifts that those local ecosystems offer to us. So they purify our air, purify our water, offer food for humans and the more in humans ecosystems. They offer flood control. They offer resiliency in time of climate change. And so these are things that we're not separate from our ecosystem. We're not, it's not that we're humans and we live in the cities and nature is separate from us. We are all one. And so we need to understand that we're part of that ecosystem, and we need to be able to live harmoniously within the ecosystem. And so how can San Jose be a part of our ecosystem? How can San Jose offer the same gifts that our local ecosystems offer? So some things that we could do, we have a problem with tree cover in San Jose. Our tree coverage is not very high. I think it's in the teens. So,
Wow.
so maybe somewhere between 10 and 18% throughout the city, depending on the neighborhood. And over the years, it has continued to get lower.
Mhm.
So we need to focus on that. We need to think about, okay, what are we doing wrong? Why are we losing our tree coverage? And how can we increase it? And that's a way that we can model our local ecosystems. We also have to think about our clean water. In our rivers, our rivers have trash strewn in them, and all kinds of garbage flowing down the rivers. We don't highlight access to rivers. And so that's another way that we could model our local ecosystems. I'm also currently part of a project collaborating with Actera, and our effort is to build food forests.
Nice.
And we are currently working on our first site of food forests at Educare, which is a preschool in our area. And our vision is to create green corridors throughout our city for food, free food that everybody can share in, and in food forests, and then also to have maybe pocket forests of native trees and shrubs, and urban gardens as well. And so we envision that we could have these green corridors that could offer respite for humans as well as the nature that's within our city and surrounding our city. So these are some ideas that we've been thinking about to live in harmony with our local ecosystems.
I love that, and I feel it's interesting that as you're sharing these projects and the intentions around this, it makes me go back to this thing of like, yeah, it's one thing to do a donut snapshot. It's one thing to analyze the data and see where we're at right now. See where we are, the ecological indicators and the social indicators. Like, yeah, yes, okay, yes, let's do the data. But what you're also talking about is also creating proactive data, or like active data. I don't even know what maybe there's no word for it yet, right? But like about creating the impact data that's going to transform where we see that there's harm in the snapshot, right? Where there's indicators of, like you said, there's like tree cover. Well, the best way to deal with that data is actually to plant trees and to build back do green corridors and build back tree covers, right? Which is like you can't you can't just keep doing data to do that. You actually have to go and plant trees. You have to actually do the action to get those to reverse that. So I'm curious, I mean, I wonder if that's something that you see as a continued action for this as San Jose explores becoming a donut city, right? Is that also a part of the journey? Is it also the creating proactive data, and how do you see that happening as well?
So I think continuing these food forests that we've begun. We have a project in San Jose called Vision Zero, where we've had a problem with vehicle accidents and pedestrians getting hit. So we need to calm traffic, have more respectful and safer traffic. So there are some ideas that we can work on that with closing down streets and creating pedestrian corridors of we have an idea to paint the sides of streets and so we're creating art in our cities, but also like as a way to slow traffic down. That's an example of a project. We've had the idea of local currencies that could help to keep our money local and to help perhaps people who are lower income or people who are living without a stable housing situation that they could partake of the local currency and that can help improve their ability to purchase their needs. There are some other projects that we've been thinking about. So like for taking care of the trees or just respecting the trees and not cutting down more trees. We've thought about giving email addresses to trees so that people can actually write letters to the trees or they can give people updates about the trees
Nice.
and share their information. That's inspired by another project. I think it was in Europe, where they created email addresses for trees so that they could also improve their treatment of trees and care for trees. And they thought that people would just write in and say this particular tree right here is suffering from some sort of disease and needs some attention. But really what happened was people started writing love letters to the trees. And I was really inspired by that. Just this was an opportunity for the community to show their care and their love for the trees. And it was very inspiring. So something like that would be wonderful to embark upon as well.
I love that. And I'm curious, it seems also in doing this work of creating a snapshot for San Jose, it's also connecting you and many others, even I've noticed this, is connecting people from different projects and different groups doing different projects and just becoming more aware of the different things that are happening locally that we might not be aware of because we're not really focusing in those specific, care-based areas. I'm curious, who are you looking forward to meeting through this process of doing this donut for San Jose? Is there anybody you're hoping to connect with more or any groups that you're feeling like it would be awesome to connect with them more to kind of bring them into this donut story for San Jose?
Yeah, I've been trying to get to know who's doing what work in different areas. I noticed that we have a pretty strong artist community in San Jose. And so I know a few artists, but I'm not too familiar with that community. And I know that they put together a report to try to understand how artists can survive doing artwork in San Jose. And they're trying to look at competition for grants and how to come to terms with being able to raise funding to support art in our community. So I would really like to get to know artists better. That's an area that I'm not so familiar with that community. Some of the other cultural communities within San Jose, I really like to get to know them better. Transportation, there's a new biking report that has just come out. So I'd like to reach out better, more to the biking community, get to know what they need and what their ideas are for them to thrive within transportation in our community. So those are some examples of kind of where I'm looking at for next steps.
That's wonderful. I even put in there personally, I'm interested in connecting more with, who are the tech folks that are in San Jose and the tech, folks who have done well from the tech industry who want to contribute and give back to the future of San Jose and seven generationally, right? Where are they? and where can they, how can they plug into what's happening with the donut economics snapshot and the actions that are going to come from developing the donut
Yes.
agenda, right?
Yes, one of our team members is connected to the tech community. And because San Jose has been known as the capital of Silicon Valley, we thought, and he suggested that we include tech as one of our dimensions within the donut. And I think that's a fantastic idea. So he's currently putting together a plan, and he has some people that he's been thinking of bringing in for interviews or expert opinions about different aspects of the tech community. And I think that this is something that really impacts us in so many ways. So you could say, last night I was thinking about data centers. So San Jose has a plan to bring in many more data centers than we already have. So this is something that our leaders are excited about because it will bring in more funding. It's helping them to come to some agreements with PG&E, which has kind of been an issue for our San Jose Clean Energy for a while now. So there's that enthusiasm, but on the other hand, it's very energy intensive, and they also have diesel generators that will be polluting as well. So there's some navigating that we need to do, some better understanding that of what the implications of that is. There's also the waste that we have from tech, and that's impacting the rest of the world. So what happens to our cell phones when we're done with them? Where do they go? How do we trace that? That's all part of the global social and global ecological perspectives of the donut. And even just our tech ideas, AI, that's impacting the rest of the world. And so that's also global social and global ecological. And these are really, really big issues. So I'm pretty excited to kind of delve into that and understand how can we add that to our donut portrait.
Yeah, and I think that's a really unique aspect of the donut. I mean, that's one of the things that I love about the donut is that it can adjust, it can adapt to any environment, it can adapt to any bioregion or any community, right? Like it's like the inside and the outside they're not fixed. They can adjust, they can adapt, especially the inner part, the social indicators. And I love that, if you go to a rural area, it's going to be different than an urban area. You can't like impose the same snapshot in the same place, right? Or if a country has certain resources versus another country has different resources, you can't like impose the same donut, which I love. I love that you can just copy and paste, right? An economic model or economic idea like donut economics. At the same time, as you bring up technology, I think that's super interesting to think about how like I don't know, I haven't seen any donuts around the world that have tech in the middle of the donut, right? In a significant way. So I'm actually curious, how will that be measured, right? Because basically we measure towards finding out if we're breaking out of the boundary, right? So I mean, when does tech break out of the boundary? I mean, you just mentioned using the data and the energy, right? The energy outputs and what that affects on the ecological aspects. But what about the social foundations, right? Like, is that like, is your tech, is there tech algorithms and distractions, or is it like actually solving human problems and supporting humanity? Like how do you measure that? That's really interesting.
It is, and it's going to be tricky trying to figure that out. And in a way, tech kind of comes into all of the other aspects of the both sides of both the inside and the outside of the donut.
True.
But at this point, we are thinking that maybe let's just look at tech on its own and see if we can do something that's just focusing with tech. Um, so we're trying to focus in and find what indicators that we want to focus on, but it is very much connected to everything else. So we're still not certain how it's going to look in the donut, but trying to get it on its own.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one because like I said, we haven't seen that yet in any donut in around the world. So maybe it'll be a good a compass or a guiding post for other communities that start to adopt the donut. So questions, Lisa, as we're kind of getting closer to wrapping up this discussion, which I hope is not the last one, right? I hope we continue coming back to these discussions, and maybe, like, I think one of the things that we talked about was actually engaging different players in San Jose, different organizations and nonprofits, corporations that are engaging with the donut economic model for San Jose. We have them on, right? And we can collectively come have conversations with them as well, right?
Yes, we have been putting some thoughts into looking at organizations that are already implementing the donut concept. So, for example, Actera, Homegrown Bay Area initiative that I mentioned earlier, building the food forest, building community. That's one example. I think the Sikh temple would be another wonderful example because they are really making a strong sense of community.
Mhm.
There's within climate, there's Silicon Valley Youth Climate Action. They are really strong for the aspect of political voice.
Mhm.
And and it's a youth voice, so it's very inspiring to learn about their story and the work that they're doing. There is a cafe. I can't remember the name of the cafe right now, but it is a cafe that helps people who are recovering. So recovering in many different ways. And they can come in the cafe and feel a sense of being comfortable, being supported, and they can have a place to talk or a place to reach out and receive counsel and receive support. So I really like to invite them to talk about the work that they're doing as well. There's a Peace and Justice Center, which I'd love to share more about the work that they're doing. So these are just some examples. There really are quite a few organizations that have already begun this work that I'd love to highlight.
Kind of makes me imagine like being able to visualize them on the donut, being these organizations and inviting them when we can get a cross section of like, 4 or 5 different organizations that are hit different indicators, and then inviting them in to kind of like reflect on each other and share, and then also dream together of how we can collaborate more, right? Um,
Yeah, inspire one another too, because maybe one way that somebody's addressing solutions, another group could use that as an example as well.
Yeah, I love you to say that. And that's kind of one of the things that I find inspirational about donut economics, is that it allows for a new kind of collaboration, a new kind of cooperation and coherence. And oftentimes we're all trying to figure out, are we on the same side? Right. And when we see the donut, we're like, oh, we're
Mhm.
all in the donut. So there isn't a side. We're all in the donut trying to make it work. From all of our angles. So Lisa, before we close this, what are some of the asks? Do you have any asks for the community? Obviously, we still have this fundraiser open for San Jose's donut, and people can continue donating past our completion. I think we're almost 75% there, basically. We're 3/4 away funded. But beyond, I mean, obviously donating to this and supporting all the work and the folks who are working to make this happen, that's important. But what are some asks you have beyond just the donations? Are there any specific asks you have from the community or yeah, I'm curious.
I do, and thank you so much for inviting that input, Indy. So we are in the process of creating a sheet or a page on Caldec's website. So there will be some information about the work that we're doing in San Jose. So I invite everybody to visit Caldec's website and look for our page when it should be up soon. We are having ongoing festivals and workshops, and we'll make announcements for that. And we invite the community to participate in that. we have a survey that we're reaching out to the community and asking people to tell us what would it mean for you to thrive in San Jose? And what does San Jose mean to you? Where do you find community? How do you feel safe? How do you feel inspired? So we would love people to participate in the survey. We would love people to sign up for updates so that we can send out further updates, because we are going to be continuing to reach out to our community throughout when we plan to announce our donut in October. That's our target completion date. So we invite people to sign up and to get updates. We will be having opportunities for people to perhaps participate in some citizen science, and we would love to get that participation. Join our group if you'd like to join our circle and help us to create the donut. We would love to have you. We would be very happy if you'd like to host us, and we can share the work that we're doing with your group and learn how we can collaborate together. Those are some ways that we can share, and perhaps right now the best way for people to get more involved is through the CalDEC website. Does that seem like the best way for them to reach out?
Definitely. We'll add some links for this specific Give Butter campaign, and we'll give the link for the website. And just always the best thing is signing up for the newsletter, and so you can keep updated of the new progressions that happen with San Jose, and also the other stuff that's happening popping up all throughout the state of California as well. Excellent.
Yes, we are throughout the process, we are very much wanting the community to give their input and to participate. So we also actually have a book club as well. So we would love the community to participate in that. We are starting out with Kate Rayworth's book, Doughnut Economics, and we will be discussing that book the day after tax day, and then we'll move on to our next book. We have a series of 5 books to start out with.
Excellent. And that would be a great way for people to tune in. Ideally, we're inviting people to read the book and then come to the gathering after reading the book, but we won't kick you out if you haven't read the book yet.
That's true.
Um, and so yeah, and then and beyond that, Lisa, thank you so much. I think what you're doing and taking leadership with this is so important at this moment, especially considering, there's a lot of dismay and despair and hopelessness. And I feel what you're doing is generating optimism and possibility. And I love that you're also open to creating the festivals and having gatherings. So we're not just doing this virtual thing where we're like digital and we're just doing Zoom meetings or whatever, but we're also inviting people to come and meet in person, to come and share food, share community, share culture, and continue moving together to develop a donut for San Jose. Is that right?
Yes, I absolutely believe that the best antidote for despair in our time right now is to do something good that you can build out on and that can ripple out into your community and other communities as well. And really, and I'm feeling this myself and hearing it from so many others, that really what is going to help to best treat the despair is to build community. In community, we can share, we can learn how one another's feeling, we can get our strength, and we can build a better community, a better place to live, and grow on that. And I think that that's really at the heart of what we're doing with the Doughnut Project.
I love that. Beautiful. Yeah, we're building a donutty community, a donutty community, community of donuts within a large donut. Well, thank you so much, Lisa. I appreciate you so much. Thanks for sitting in the donut seat and being such an amazing guest. And let's continue having these donut discussions. Do you feel complete?
I do, Indy. Thank you so much. I always enjoy visiting with you.
Likewise. Thank you so much and have a good day. Everybody else, you guys keep up your donut spirits, okay? If you're feeling low, just t tune into the donut or come to the book club. Read the donut economics book and come to the book club. That's also a great way to get refreshed and reconnected with the story.